We have something in common. He said he used to stutter too, but he overcame it. He said something that really changed my outlook. Never let stuttering define you. When we met, he told me he'd been bullied as a kid, that he spent hours practicing poetry in the mirror, but it got better for him. And he became an example for me. It's why after our visit, I decided not to hide anymore, to face my stutter head on. So I started giving public speeches. He inspired me, kept pushing me to believe in myself. Dear Campbell, I'm so very proud of you. You've grown into what I expected of you, an articulate, generous, and wonderful young man. Joe Biden knows every single person has had to deal with setbacks. How you deal with them, how you get back up, that's what defines us. That's what's always defined Joe Biden. He's a guy that never quits.
When it comes down to it, we all know that we're connected by much more than divides us. I do believe we're going to be judged on how we answer that call of moral responsibility, to whether we stand up for those who have the least among us, whether we act on their behalf. We have a responsibility to one another, and we all are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
How do you make a broken family whole? The same way you make a nation whole. With love and understanding, and with small acts of kindness, with bravery, with unwavering faith.
Thank you, nurses.
You show up for each other in big ways and small ones.
Everyone's here welcoming you home. Woo!
We're coming together and holding on to each other. We're finding mercy and grace in the moments we might have once taken for granted. We have shown that the heart of this nation still beats with kindness and courage. That's the soul of America Joe Biden is fighting for now.
At her best, America has always been, and if I have anything to do with it, will be again generous, confident, an optimistic nation, full of hope and resolve. Donald Trump is determined to instill fear in America. That's what his entire campaign for the presidency has come down to, fear. But I believe Americans are stronger than that. I believe we'll be guided by the words of Pope John Paul II, words drawn from the Scriptures. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Fear never builds the future, but hope does. And building the future is what America does, what we've always done. In fact, it's what we have done best and continue to do best. This is the United States of America. There's not a single thing beyond our capacity when we decide to do it together.
He started as a public defender, ran for county council to fight discrimination, championed civil rights and voting rights as a U.S. Senator, and for 8 years served by President Obama's side, helping make historic change. Donald Trump is tearing our country apart. We need someone who spent his life fighting for what's right, who will beat Donald Trump and restore the soul of this nation.
Faith is what has gotten me through difficult times in my life. When I lost my wife and daughter, when my son had stage 4 glioblastoma, it was a matter of months. Personally for me, faith, it's all about hope and purpose and strength. And for me, my religion is just an enormous sense of solace. I go to Mass and I say the Rosary. I find it to be incredibly comforting. Kierkegaard said, faith sees best in the dark. Think of all the people you know who are going through horrible things, and they get up every morning and they put one foot in front of the other. I marvel at people who absorb hurt and just get back up. And I'm absolutely, thoroughly convinced and optimistic about the prospects of this country. No, I really mean it. There is nothing we can't do.
What's been happening here at my farm, it just threatens everything that we live for. This climate change is real. We have to quit denying and start acting. Step one in this process is beating Donald Trump. Everything he's promised here in Iowa about renewable energy, renewable fuels, he hasn't come through. Joe Biden is the only one I think can put this together and make it work. Biden has shown that he can get things done, and if we're going to beat Donald Trump, it's going to be Joe Biden that's going to do it.
Who are we? We are the ones who step up for each other. I've got your back. You've got mine. Kindness, humility, empathy. It's not just talk. It's who we are. It's who we always have been. And no one can take that from us. The movement to bring it back, it started here. And here. And here. In school gymnasiums, community centers, the living room down the block. You'll be where? Okay, we'll be there. Who are we? We're the movement that will beat Donald Trump. Welcome. We're going to have to sweat for it. We're going to have to sacrifice and fight. We're going to have to lead. Everyone is going to have to lead with kindness, humility, empathy, and not just talk, but action. Action today, action tomorrow. Action until we win. And we will win if we do this together. It's who we are. It's who we always have been. Now let's show them.
Good afternoon, Des Moines Democrats. Good afternoon. How are we doing this afternoon? Honk if you can hear me. Awesome. What a beautiful day to be here. We're so glad to have you all. Before we get started with our program, I'm going to do a couple of housekeeping things. First and foremost, for our safety, for your own safety, right? Because safety is cool. I ask that you always wear your mask. Also, I want to point out our bathrooms, are off to the west here. Our bathrooms are off to the west. Now, before our program gets started, I want to remind you to tune in to 88.5 FM. That's 88.5 FM. If you're looking for an opportunity to volunteer, you want to get involved, we have a few days left in this election, the most critical election of our lifetime. If you want to get engaged, text IAGOTV to 30330. That is IAGOTV to 30330. And if you're curious about where your polling location is, because we want to make sure we get every single person out to vote, text polls to 30330. You can find your polling location. Better yet, take a friend with you. So we're so excited to have this beautiful day here. We're really excited for the program that we have coming up. Before we get even further, I'm excited to introduce to you all Polk County Democratic Chair Sean Bagnuski.
Well, good morning, or is it afternoon, Polk County Democrats? I don't know about you, but I did not have a last-minute visit from Joe Biden on my 2020 crazy bingo card, but we sure are happy to have him here. It shows how close our state is, it shows how sick we are of Donald Trump, and it shows how much Iowa genuinely loves Joe Biden. Today, we are just 4 days away from the most important election of our lives. It seems like we say that every cycle, but this time it's really true. This year, we will all decide as a nation whether Donald Trump is an aberration or who we are as a country. The silver lining in all of the last 4 years is that he has created an activism in our Democratic Party that will far outlast him when he's gone. In Polk County, everything that we've had to do in a usual get-out-the-vote election year has had to adapt to the pandemic. We've hosted more than 200 curbside voter registration stations and registered thousands of new voters. More than 100 of our volunteers, many of them here, have been picking up ballots on demand every day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Last week, we called and texted more than 27,000 voters in just 48 hours. In just the last month, the Polk County Democrats have welcomed more than 1,000 volunteers just since the steak fry. Now, you're already seeing that Democratic energy translate into some real numbers here in Polk County. More than 65% of all the Democrats in Polk County requested absentee ballots. 57% of all the ballots in Polk County are Democrats. Only 23% are from our Republican friends. On top of the early votes, thousands of Democrats are voting in person. Every day since October 5th, when early voting started in Polk County, there has been a line at the county election office. More than 1,000 people have voted at the county election office in person every day for the last week. Whether it's in cold, in snow, or in lines going down blocks, Polk County Democrats have been voting. And I don't need to tell you that people aren't standing in the cold in line because they're really energetic about keeping the status quo. When folks vote on Election Day, we will have hundreds of volunteers here in Polk County to protect our free and fair elections. In most normal election years in Polk County, we have maybe 30, maybe 60 poll watchers throughout the county. This year, and especially after Donald Trump said he was going to send his armed supporters to the polls, we have recruited more than 350 poll watchers just for Election Day alone. So after 4 long, strange years, I can't wait for us to beat Donald Trump next week. Let's close strong, and let's celebrate a bit today, but then let's get back to work this afternoon so that we can celebrate again next Tuesday. Thank you so much for all you're doing. We've only got 4 days left. Like all the billboards say, let's save our country.
The country is crying out for leadership. Leadership that can unite us, leadership that brings us together. I look at the presidency as a very big job, and nobody will get it right every time, and I won't either. But I promise you this, I won't traffic in fear and division. I won't fan the flames of hate. I'll seek to heal the racial wounds that have long plagued our country, not use them for political gain. I'll do my job and I will take responsibility. I won't blame others. But I promise you, this job is not about me. It's about you. It's about us. To build a better future. That's what America does. We build the future. It may, in fact, be the most American thing to do. This is the United States of America. There's never been anything we've been unable to do when we set our mind to do it, and we've done it together.
I did.
Every time I hear the Vice President speak, I get excited. I'm more excited about what the future holds for our country under his leadership. Who's excited with me? I'm also excited about our next speaker. This is a man who came and actually recruited me to the Iowa House. I'm hopeful that I make him proud every day. He's the other Smith, but State Representative and Iowa Democratic Party Chair, Mark Smith.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this great event here. So I want to introduce some folks that are here, and we will save the honking until the last. So we are joined today by Congresswoman Cindy Axne, Congresswoman Abby Finkenauer, former governor and former secretary, the best secretary of agriculture, Tom Vilsack, and former governor Chet Culver. Also with us is the longest serving attorney general in the history of the United States, Tom Miller, and also Janet Peterson, minority leader, soon to become majority leader in the Iowa Senate. And also Senator Liz Mathis, Senator Nate Bolton, and Senator Herman Kornbach. We also have from the Iowa House here with us Representative Marty Anderson, Representative Wes Breckenridge, Representative Karen Derry, Representative John Forbes, Representative Bruce Hunter, Representative Heather Madsen, Representative Christian Sunday, Representative Ross Wilburn, and you already met Representative Ross Smith. We also have with us former Attorney General Bonnie Campbell and former Lieutenant Governor and Secretary of Agriculture Patty Judge, and you met Sean Bagnuski, who is the chair of the Polk County Democrats as well. There are some great candidates for the Iowa legislature that are with us as well, and those include former and will be new Senator Tom Courtney, Christina Blackcloud, Dave Degner, and Cindy Passion are all here with us as well. And we also have former chairs with us, Andy McGuire and Sue Dvorsky and her husband Bob, and also with us is Vice Chair Tanner Halloran. So we can honk now. It is so great to be with all of you on this beautiful day. We have 4 more days to turn out the vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and get our country back on track. If you've already voted, thank you. And now make sure that your friends and family vote too. Iowa is a battleground state, not something that was predicted at the beginning of the year, but through the fantastic hard work of advocates like all of you, we have a real opportunity to bring change for hardworking Iowans at every level of government. I've talked a lot to Iowans since the beginning of the year, and one thing is clear. Enthusiasm for Democratic leadership is undeniable. Our country needs Joe Biden and Kamala Harris leadership, and Iowans are going to help send them to the White House. And I don't need to tell you how important it is that the road to winning back the U.S. Senate runs right through Iowa, and Teresa Greenfield is the candidate who is going to bring it home. Teresa has Iowa values, and you can see from her policies and the conversations that she has with farmers, teachers, frontline workers, and all the other Iowans that she is a person that deserves to be our next United States Senator. And even more encouraging, yes, even more encouraging, Democrats are turning in those ballots faster than the Republicans. More than 847,000 Iowans have already voted. That's amazing. Iowans are on the brink of setting a new voter turnout record, and we need to make sure that every voter has their voice heard in this election. Here at the party, we are focused on making sure every eligible Iowan can cast their vote. We're chasing absentee ballots, and we're making sure that every vote is counted. But there's still work to do. So it's up to us to encourage our friends and family to volunteer at a phone bank or to sign up to be a poll observer or a hotline operator. We've been in this fight for a long time, and it's going to be close. Iowa's Democrats are tough, we're focused, and we can do this for 4 more days. The Republican Party has dismissed every opportunity to do the right thing. Instead, they are hell-bent on eroding the pillars of the American dream, taking away the Affordable Care Act, gutting Medicare, eroding workers' rights, and dismantling Social Security. But we can stop them with our votes. Vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to bring leadership to the Oval Office, starting with a real plan to safely tackle this pandemic. Vote for Teresa Greenfield to take back the U.S. Senate and restore the voices of working Iowans. Vote for Congresswomen Finkenauer and Axne, Rita Hart, and J.D. Scholten to ensure the People's House truly works for us. Vote for an outstanding slate of State House and Senate candidates who are going to bring an overdue check on the GOP's anti-worker agenda. When we vote for Democrats, we're voting for affordable, quality health care and stop the fear of losing it because of a pre-existing condition. We're voting to build back our economy better. We're voting for our kids, teachers, and public schools to ensure every Iowan has the access to the education they need to live their hopes and dreams. We're voting for our farm safety net, stronger trade policies, science and actions in the face of climate change. We're voting for equality and justice for all Americans. Democrats are excited, energized, and motivated. Our state is a critical stop in the battle for the soul of our nation, and we must do our part. A bright, progressive future for Iowa is possible, and we're going to prove it on Election Day. Now, if you haven't, go vote, and thank you very much for what you're going to do in the coming days. Thank you. Now I have the great opportunity to introduce 2 young men that I've watched grow up in Marshalltown, Iowa, and you pay attention to these 2 young men here because they are going to be doing great things here in the state of Iowa. So many of you may have heard recently about Alfonso Medina, who runs La Carreta restaurant in Marshalltown, Iowa. And he put up a sign that started out with Black Lives Matter and listed a whole bunch of more important, or also important things for our state and for our nation. And he got some backlash for that. And so now he is promoting this idea: no love, no tacos. Also with him is his younger brother, Isaac Medina, who is someone who has been working in campaigns for Democrats for years and now is a senior in law school and is going to be someone that we're going to be very proud of. So please welcome 2 young men who've been making good trouble, Alfonso and Isaac Medina.
Take it. Oh, make me wanna holler the way they do my life. Make me wanna holler the way they do my life. This ain't living. This ain't living. No, no, baby. This ain't living. No, 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 no. Inflation, no chance to increase.
All right, good morning, everybody. And it's a great day to be here in Des Moines. The weather is on our side, and it's a pleasure to be here today alongside my brother Isaac. And like Mark said, my name is Alfonso Medina, and we are the sons of immigrants, immigrants that came from the country of Mexico to look for a new place to call home, and we found home here in the great state of Iowa. And our parents instilled in us the values of faith, family, and hard work. I chose to carry on with one of my family's businesses, running a restaurant, in probably one of the most diverse cities in the state of Iowa, Marshalltown, Iowa. Thanks to state grants and federal grants during the pandemic, my business has been able to keep its doors open, but I know that small businesses alike and bigger businesses have not run with the same faith. So we need a president that will take this pandemic serious, and we need somebody that that put small businesses in the forefront, and we need actions fast. We need a president that will take us back on the same track, on the right track, and we cannot afford one more year like this one again to happen. We need a president that can unite this country, that will heal our wounds, and put us back on the right track for progress. So thank you all that's been keeping up to date with our No Love, No Tacos movement. It sparked with 4 simple words. Now, creating traction not just statewide, nationwide, but all over the world. And like Mark said, we're getting into some really good trouble, and we're really happy to see and very excited to see where this takes us. And we're here in Iowa alongside all my family and Isaac, and I'm very happy to see where life and his career takes him as well. So I'll let Isaac speak now, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you so much. And COVID-19 has not only impacted small businesses, COVID-19 has impacted the workers and communities where these businesses operate. And we have seen the disproportionate impact on marginalized and low-income communities. Latinos and immigrants in the meatpacking industry, to highlight, have endured the brunt of COVID-19 in their workplaces. Outbreaks in meatpacking plants have not only affected individual workers, but their families and their communities all across this nation and our state. It is important that we have a president that recognizes that essential does not mean indispensable. We need a president that fights for the dignity of work, because essential workers are risking their lives every day, and they can't be treated less than dirt when they find later on that their workers' compensation claims have been rejected because they can't prove causation. When state legislatures like the state of Iowa indemnify from liability companies who have not followed the guidelines like meatpacking plants to stop the spread, and find that in order to be in state court, the damages are capped and causation is a higher burden to prove. In a lot of ways, those who are impacted the most are those who might feel like they don't belong, who have been cast aside, or worse, forgotten. Many of us, including myself, might know how it feels to not belong at times, especially in the times that we are living today. Whether it's because of color, race, ethnicity, gender identity, who we love, who we worship, and yes, maybe even a stutter. You see, Kamala and Joe, they can relate to this feeling to a varying degree, but I want to tell everybody out there who at times have felt like they haven't belonged or might in the future, you are not alone. You belong, and you need to have your voice heard. So I want to say, and I'm sure Joe and Kamala feel this way too, in this state, in our country, in our party, and on the Biden-Harris ticket, there is a place for you too. So join me and my brother in supporting Biden and Kamala for President and Vice President of the United States. Thank you.
It said, "In here, your character is revealed. We saw it with President Obama. We're seeing it with President Trump. But it's in life where your character is formed. Where you're from, who you grew up with, and who you love. How you've been tested and what you've overcome. How you step up when the moment demands it. And what you do when the cameras are off. Where you've led, what you've done, and what you'll never stop working to do. Who you stand with, and who you fight for. Character matters. Maybe more here than anywhere.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Good morning. Are we still doing all right? Are we still doing all right? I can't hear you. There we go. That's the excitement we need. And we need to carry that excitement. We need to carry that excitement to the polls. So if you're curious about your polling location, text polls to 30330. Now, once you voted, we need you to step up and make sure you help out. Bring people to the polls. We need you to volunteer. If you need information on how you can do that, text IAGOTV to 30330. I'm really excited to bring up our next speaker. She's going to introduce our Congresswoman, Lillian Sanchez.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be here today. My name is Lillian Sanchez, and I am a proud immigrant, Latina, Iowan, and first-time voter. Like many of you here today, for me, this election is personal. It is personal because we have seen firsthand the lack of leadership these past 4 years. For me, this election is personal because I can no longer stand to witness my friends, family members, and community members fearing for their lives. Whether the low-income, first-generation student is forced to abandon their dreams of going to college because of the fear of the all-consuming student debt, whether our working families or small business owners will be unable to make ends meet and keep their businesses afloat, or whether today will be the day one of our family members, perhaps an essential worker, will be unable to provide for their family because they may contract this deadly virus. Yes, too many of us know just how well this election is. It is personal. And I stand here today as a testament of how personal each vote is. Without Vice President Biden's support for protecting victims of domestic violence, my family would have been unable to seek refuge in our beautiful state, the Field of Dreams. I would not have been able to proudly walk across the stage at my school graduation as the first person in my family to graduate from college. And most importantly, I would not be able to stand here before you, a new American citizen who casted their vote for the first time in what will be one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is an incredibly close race. We Iowans have a chance to make a difference, which is why we must exercise every ounce of our power over the next few days to win this election. Make your plan to vote. Sign up to volunteer. Every moment counts. Every vote counts. We need to send Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House, and we need to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. Now please help me give a warm welcome to my Congresswoman, Sydney Axne.
Leave each other, but we can dance with the dead. You can rest your head on my shoulder if you want to get older with me. 'Cause a little bit of
Hello, Iowa! How's everybody doing today? Who's excited to have Joe Biden with us here today? I am so excited to have Joe back in Iowa with us today because there is no better person to be sharing the stage with today and no better person to be sharing the ticket in this weekend going into the most important election of our lifetimes. And folks, there is no better leader to help our country through the challenges we'll face together after those ballots are counted. But more important than Joe Biden being the best leader for our country at this time, Joe's a good guy that you want in your corner. He understands you, he understands us, and he understands Iowa. Joe Biden wasn't born on third base convinced he'd hit a triple. Joe Biden's a scrappy kid from Scranton who knows the concerns that are being shared across the tables here in Iowa. And before I was in Congress, I was a small business owner with my husband. And Joe's the kind of guy that knows how to support our businesses and to make sure that our mom and pop shops have an opportunity, not just large corporations and Wall Street. And as a mom, I know Joe Biden understands the stresses our parents are facing right now, wondering if they can afford childcare, if it's going to be safe to send their kids to school, and hoping that their kids will have a better opportunity than they did. And as someone who got into this job to listen to Iowans first and foremost, I know that Joe's going to be a great listener in chief. He knows your struggles because he's seen his own. He knows your loss because he's known loss. And he knows how to lead us forward because he has the proven experience and he's ready to help Iowa achieve progress on day one. And I know that recent years have brought a lot of struggles to the people here in Iowa. We've faced a generational health crisis, trade wars, we've faced floods and derechos, and we've seen attacks on the rights and dignities of the great people here in our state. We've seen healthcare continue to be at the crosshairs of the Republicans in Washington. And my colleagues and I have passed hundreds of bills aimed at helping people in our state and those across the country, only to see those bills languish at the doorstep of the Senate. But my colleagues and I haven't given up hope, and we've not let these challenges deter us from doing what's right. We're fighting every day to lower the cost of health care and protect and strengthen the Affordable Care Act. We're working to bring down the cost of prescription drug prices for our seniors and to defend those with pre-existing conditions who are still under attack. And we've crafted new legislation to help us through our challenging times, from child care to disaster relief aid to addressing climate change and rebuilding our economy. We've worked day in and day out to deliver for you. And we need Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House to help us continue that fight. We need Teresa Greenfield in Washington to help us continue that fight. We need J.D. Scholten and Rita Hart in Washington to help us continue that fight. And we need you to help me and Abby get reelected to continue that fight. But folks, to make that happen, we need you here in the home stretch to make that happen for all of us. We need you to tell your friends and family to vote and to vote now and to stay fired up, because with your help, we can elect Joe Biden as the next president of the United States of America. for our 3rd district, for the great state of Iowa, and for this country. Let's go win this. God bless America.
By those stronger than me, straight into the face that tells you to rattle your chains if you love being free. Lord, I could cry. 'Cause power is my love when my love reaches to me. James Brown cried power. See, you gotta cry power. More than cry power.
She was walking in the street, looked up and noticed he was nameless, he was homeless. She asked him his name and told him what hers was. He gave her a story about life with a glint in his eye and a corner of a smile. One conversation, a simple moment, the things that change us if we notice when we look up sometimes. They said I would never make it, but I was built to break the mold. The only dream that I've been chasing is my own. So I sing a song for the hustlers trading at the bus stop, single mothers waiting on a check to come, young teachers, student doctors, sons on the front line knowing they don't get to run. This goes up to the underdog. Keep on keeping at what you love, and you'll find that someday, soon enough, you will rise up, yeah. Riding in a taxi back to the kitchen, talking to the driver about his wife and his children, on a run from a country where they put you in prison for being a woman and speaking your mind. And she looked in his eyes in the mirror.
The program will begin shortly. Please find your way to your vehicles. Reminder, you must be in your vehicles. The program will begin shortly.
Chasing is my own. So I sing a song for the hustlers trading at the bus stop, single mothers waiting on a check to come, young teachers, student doctors, sons on the front line knowing they don't get to run. This goes up to the underdog. Keep on keeping at what you love, and you'll find that someday, soon enough, you will rise up, yeah.
just what to say. Now I found out today that all the words had slipped away. But I know there's always a chance, a tiny spark will remain, yeah. And sparks turn into flames, and love can burn once again. But I know you know, whenever you call me,
wear my clothes like you because I'm not. I can't do my hair like you because I'm not. I can't walk around like you because I'm not. I can't do my thing like you, well it just ain't hot. And if you're expecting me to give you an apology for being nothing like you used to, but go right on and head away. Hold your breath and concentrate. Keep holding till your face turns blue. See my road, it ain't your road, but trust I know just where I'm going. In my flow, it ain't your flow, but trust I know just how I'm flowing. I'ma do my thing. So please feel free to hate and complain. I'ma do my thing. And say what you like, 'cause this one ain't gonna change. I'ma do my thing. You don't know where I'm going, and so you think I'm lost. I ain't on your page, okay? So to you that means I'm off. When I dance to the beat of a drummer you don't hear and you can't see. So if I look offbeat to you, well the problem must be you, not me. Irregular but never irrelevant, unusual but never uncool. You're not cut from my clothes, you don't get me, well I don't get you. Either a believer of the fact that unique equals love. So if I'm going too fast for you, open your mind and speed up. My road, it ain't your road, but trust I know just where I'm going. Where I'm going in my flow, it ain't your flow, but trust me I know just how I'm flowing. I'ma do my thing. Please feel free to hate and
please welcome to the stage United States Senate candidate Teresa Greenfield.
Hit me with your best shot. Why don't you hit me with your best shot? Hit me with your best shot.
Well, hello, Iowa. Hello, Polk County. Are you guys ready to send Joe Biden to the White House? Well, I want to thank all the volunteers that are here today. I want to thank all the volunteers across this state, Democrats who are working so hard to elect candidates up and down the ticket here. We've just got 4 days until this election, and I am so fired up because this is a race we can win. And when we win it, when we flip this seat, we're going to take back the majority of the United States Senate. Honk for that. You know, for those of you who I haven't met, I'm Teresa Greenfield. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a mother of 4. I'm a military mom. I'm a scrappy farm kid, and I know the price of corn. You know, Iowans are going through really tough times right now, and I think these are going to be some of the most consequential times of our life. With the pandemic, the recent derecho, farm bankruptcies at an 8-year high, you know, families struggling to afford health care, seniors who can't afford their prescription drugs. People are worried, and I understand those tough times. I've been through a whole lot of struggles myself. You know, I grew up during the farm crisis when interest rates were 21%. Bankruptcy auctions were going on every single week, and farm families were ruined. I had to scrap through a lot of part-time jobs to put myself through college. I worked hard. And when I was widowed at the age of 24, my first husband, Rod, he was a lineman for the power company. He was an IBEW member, a union member. Can I get some honks for the unions, please? Well, when Rod died in a workplace accident, that left me a single mom with a 13-month-old and another one on the way. And it was Social Security, and it was his hard-earned union benefits that kept the boys and I out of poverty, gave me a second chance to get back on my feet and rebuild a career and provide for my family. And I know everybody wants the dignity of providing for their family. So when Senator Joni Ernst talks about privatizing Social Security, about going behind closed doors to gut Social Security, I said, no way, and I got in this fight. I want grannies across the state to know. I want grannies across the state to know I'm going to fight to sustain Social Security for generations to come, and that is something to honk about. Now, we've been traveling the state. We've done over 350 campaign events around the state. And while people are talking about health care and they're talking about the farm economy, more than anything, they want the divisiveness to end. They want the bickering and the name-calling to come to an end. You know, in 2014, Senator Joni Ernst, she told us she'd be independent, she'd be different, and she'd make them squeal. Do you guys remember that? Honk if you remember squealing. Well, here's the deal. She's had 6 years, and she failed Iowa. She forgot about us. She has sold us out for her big corporate donors. Folks, she's taken over $200,000 from Big Pharma and refuses to require Medicare to negotiate for those prescription drug costs. She's taken over $500,000 from Big Oil, selling out our farmers, putting one of their guys to head the EPA, who gutted our ethanol industry. Frankly, I think all that money has kind of got Senator Ernst mixed up. She's been fighting to keep corn prices low and drug prices high. I'm going to do the exact opposite as your next senator. Well, enough is enough. We deserve a senator who's going to put Iowa first, who's going to fight for our hardworking families, and that certainly is why I got in this race, and I don't take one dime of corporate PAC donations. Let's talk about that. Now, growing up on the Greenfield farm, there's a little farm outside of a town of 500, my dad always said, there's no boy jobs and there's no girl jobs. There's just jobs that need to get done, and Washington is no different. I'll work with anyone to get those jobs done. We have got to expand health care for all of us, lower prescription drug prices, protect our rural hospitals. We've got to get through this pandemic and rebuild our economy. Our farmers need a fair shot, and everywhere I travel, they want their markets back. And we've got to protect our earned benefits like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. I'll work with anyone, Republicans or Democrats, to get those jobs done. All right, there is no doubt this race is going to be tough. It's going to be a Donnybrook all the way to the finish line. But I'm going to continue to take my grit and my resolve and go out there and fight and compete and work hard to earn every single vote until the polls close. But I can't do it alone. I can't win it alone. And so I need all of you to go to greenfieldforiowa.com and do 3 things. Sign up to Text and Phone Bank Lend a Hand. Talk to 3 friends. Make sure they're voting. Get them to help you phone bank. And above all, make a plan to vote. Make sure everybody you know has a plan to vote, because your vote is your voice. You want to make it count. All right. Thanks for coming out today. Thank you for helping to flip this seat. And with your hard work, we are going to elect Joe Biden to the White House. We're going to win races up and down the ticket. We're going to re-elect Cindy and Abby. We're going to get Rita and JD across the finish line. We're going to take back the State House and the State Senate. So please, please work hard. And here's my promise to you. My promise is this: I'll never forget who I am, where I'm from, and who I'm fighting for. Thank you, everybody. Be well.
Put up your dukes, let's get down to it. Hit me with your best shot. Why don't you hit me with your best shot? Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. Come on, brother, come on. You don't fight fair, but that's okay. See if I can knock me down. It's all in vain.
Please welcome to the stage Ross Daniels.
Where's that higher love? I keep thinking of. Bring me higher love. Bring me higher love.
I'm just one small voice, but I'm also a voice for millions who have lost a loved one to COVID. We are the mourners. My father passed away from COVID at 1 a.m. on May 5th, holding the hands of 2 nurses he didn't know. It wasn't safe for my sister Karen to be by my side and to be with our father. The last faces he saw before he left this world were strangers. Caring, kind, essential, loving strangers, but strangers. Many of the mourners have chosen to remain silent through this grief. My values and my Jewish faith tell me that every life is precious. My faith says it's quite literally a desecration of God's name not to do everything in your power to save a life. So I decided I need to use my voice right now. I needed to tell people that COVID-19 is not a hoax. It's not behind us. That we have not turned a corner. That hundreds of thousands of people in America lie sick or having died. To tell people to use the evidence of their eyes, their ears, despite Trump's pleas to reject them. The death of a father at the age of 92 who had a full and vibrant life is not itself a tragedy to me. For me, the tragedy came in not being able to grieve with my sister, who needed to view her own father's funeral on a live stream. Karen, you're with me right now. It came from not being able to grieve with friends, to hug them, to cry on their shoulders. Grief during COVID is indeed a lonely exercise. Joe Biden understands this. Joe Biden is made for this moment in our nation's history. I still can't believe I'm actually saying this, but the president of our United States has not just chosen to ignore the hundreds of thousands of Americans who have died on his watch. No, Trump's actually decided, to his political advantage, to diminish the value of those lives already lost while jeopardizing millions more through super spreader events and outright lies. My dad and the more than 225,000 lives lost are not, as Trump said, virtually nobody. People loved them. People depended on them. People's lives were brightened and made whole by them. During the first vice presidential debate, it seemed as if the vice president looked at the screen and spoke directly to me, as well as millions of others. You see, my wife and I had just observed Yom Kippur 2 days before, with an empty seat at the head of our table and no family able to travel safely to fill up those seats. Joe understands that. Joe understood that. We all know that Joe has known unimaginable loss in his life. Who better than to steward America through a life of terror, or through a time of terrible loss of life, loss of livelihoods, loss of dreams? Who better than a person of honor and empathy and compassion to help America begin to deal with the sheer magnitude of human suffering Trump's unwillingness to act has brought upon us? Joe Biden is that person who can help us to rebuild that more perfect union. Joe Biden is the person that can help us bend the arc of that moral universe back towards justice and compassion and empathy for our fellow Americans. I'm just one voice, but on November 3rd, I think you're going to hear the voices of millions of others who are still in mourning. You'll hear from them at the ballot box. Our votes will do the talking for us. It is now my deep honor and great privilege to introduce the next and 46th President of the United States, Vice President Joe Biden.
Got to make the world go round. Got to make the world now. We the people, yeah. Got to make the world go round. Got to make the world now. You may have the black blood, or you may have the white blood, but we all are living on blood. So
hello, Polk County. Hello, Des Moines. Back at the State Fair. Oh, God love you all. Thank you for being out here today. Folks, I want to thank Ross. Thanks for the introduction. Ross, my heart goes out to you. It really is like, you know, I know it's hard, but you've been turning loss into purpose, saving lives. People who, in fact, asked me about my circumstances in the past, I said the best way to get through it is the purpose. Find purpose. And you've done that. And Governor Tom and Christy Vilsack, my best buddies, thank you, thank you, thank you for all you've done for me before, now, and God willing, after. Jill and I will always be grateful for your support and your friendship. And folks, Cindy Axne, God love her, and Abby Finkenauer, I tell you what, you guys are the single best congresspersons I've campaigned with. You need leaders like you right now. We need more of you. We need more. We got to elect them both. And by the way, we need Rita in the 2nd District and J.D. in the 4th District. It's time we can change things a little bit here. Right? Time to change it. I tell you what, and how about Teresa? I tell you what, you have no idea how much you're going to make my night when you win. You have no idea. And how you're going to make everybody else's night. You're, as they say back in Scranton, you're the real deal, kid. You're the real deal. And you've never forgotten where you came from. And the thing I'm confident about is even going to Washington, as a U.S. Senator, you're not going to forget where you came from and who you are. Your values are baked in. They're Iowa values. They're American values. You value honor, decency, respect, and dignity. You know they all matter. They matter a lot. That's who we are. And as we saw in the debate, where a farmer's daughter knows a break-even point for price of corn and crops, you think that'd be fairly basic. That's like my not knowing where the Delaware River was back home. Folks, but there's something else. Teresa and I both lost our first spouses. We've both been single parents to young kids. We both found a way back from broken places. And we know that's why you should elect this woman. Teresa to the United States Senate. She sees, she understands, she believes. When she talks to you, when you talk to her, you know, and I'm not just saying this, you know she understands. She gets it. You know, just like our good friend Tom Harkins was your senator, Teresa will be your senator for Iowa. Not like your opponent who's Donald Trump's senator for Donald Trump. Folks, only 4 days left. Millions of Americans are already voting. Millions more are going to vote by late Tuesday night. And I believe when you use your power, the power of a vote, we're going to change the course of the country and, quite frankly, the world. Right here in Iowa with all of you. In the final days, please keep your sense of empowerment. Keep your sense of optimism of what we can do together, because you know we can do anything. You know I know how hard it is. More than 200, and now I think it's up to 30,000 people have died. America's dead because COVID-19, nearly 1,700 dead right here in Iowa. Iowa hit a record number of daily cases yesterday with over 2,300, and a record number of hospitalizations, more than 600. We've now hit 9 million cases nationwide, a tragic milestone. And millions of people are out of work, on the edge, and they can't see the light. They don't know. It just looks dark right now for them. 82,000 Iowa jobs lost in this pandemic, and still they've not come back. 70,000 jobs lost in Iowa since Donald Trump became president. Here at the fairgrounds, the Iowa State Fair canceled for the first time since World War II. And Donald Trump has given up. The White House Chief of Staff said it out loud last week. He said, we're not going to control the pandemic. We're not going to control the pandemic. In the debate last week with Donald Trump, he said, we're rounding the corner. It's going away. And only he could say, we're learning to live with it. Well, I may remember what I told him. We're not learning to live with it. We're having to learn to die with it because of you. Donald Trump has waved the white flag. He surrendered to this virus. But the American people don't give up.
remember what he said when he did that interview? He said, although he knew about the crisis, he knew how bad it was back in January, the end of January, he decided not to tell the people because he worried they would panic. Well, guess what? We don't panic. He panicked. And he misrepresented to us. Imagine if he had told us in January how dangerous this was and took action. It's estimated there'll be over 130,000 people still alive. And by the way, we don't cower, and nor do I, and never will we. Unlike Donald Trump, we'll not surrender to this virus. I'm going to put in place a plan to deal with this pandemic responsibly, which I laid out back in March, bringing the country together around testing, tracing, masking. It's estimated by the leading doctors in America that if you just wore those masks for the next, between now and the end of the year, we would save, just putting this mask on, we'd save 100,000 lives. It's expected that 200,000 more lives will pass between now and the end of the year. Dr. Fauci called last week for a mask mandate. This isn't a political statement. It's patriotic duty, for God's sake. But still, Donald Trump refuses to listen to science. He politicizes the race for a vaccine instead of planning for its safe and equitable and free distribution. He refuses to provide schools and small businesses the resources and national standards where they can open safely and stay open. But I'm going to bring together Republicans and Democrats to deliver economic relief to working families and schools and businesses. The Congress has already passed this legislation. It's sitting there. But he refused. He spent all his time this summer in his golf course bunkers or down in the White House bunkers. Think about it. I've been around for a while. I'll bet even Senator Grassley would have to acknowledge that I don't ever remember any president in a crisis where there's a disagreement in the House and the Senate between Democrats and Republicans, didn't even try to bring them together to deal with this. The House back in May passed the HEROES Act, which would allow businesses and schools to open safely because it costs money. You need sanitation. You need ventilation. You need masking. You need distancing. You need separators. It all costs money. But instead, 1 in 6 businesses is now out of business because he won't act. I've said before, I'm not going to shut down the economy. I'm going to shut down the virus. Even before the virus, Donald Trump had already blown it. He inherited a strong economy from Barack and me. But like everything else he inherited, he squandered it. He squandered it, frankly. I've dealt with guys like Trump my whole life. So have you. Guys who think because they have a lot more money that they're better than you. Look down on you. I know, I acknowledge I got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. Coming from an Irish Catholic neighborhood where it wasn't viewed as that being such a great thing. When I read something about how if I'm elected president, I'm going to be the first non-Ivy League person to occupy the White House in a long time. Well, guess what? Like somehow I didn't belong if I didn't go to the Ivy League. Look, I'll say it about time. It's about time that a guy or woman who graduated from a state university is able to sit in the Oval Office. Because if I'm sitting there, you will be too. You know who really built this country. It wasn't Wall Street. It wasn't CEOs. It was hard-working folks like all of you who built the middle class. And unions helped build the middle class. We know how we can build it back and build it back better with an economy that rewards work for a change, not wealth. We can do it without raising a penny tax on the middle class. I guarantee you, give you my word as a Biden, no one making less than $400,000 a year will see a penny in their taxes raised. No one. But I tell you what, it's about time the wealthiest people in America, the billionaires and trillionaires, the multi-billionaires, and the biggest corporations start paying their fair share. 91 major corporations out of the Fortune 500 didn't pay a penny in tax last year. That's tens of billions of dollars. They're going to pay their fair share. Why should a firefighter, an educator, a nurse, a cop pay at a higher tax rate, which you do, than a major multi-billion-dollar corporation? Why should you pay more taxes than Donald Trump, who paid $750? You want to know everything I don't like about Trump? Let me tell you, captured in one answer he gave. He was asked last time out about paying so little tax and allegedly being a billionaire. You know what he said? He said, it's because I'm smarter. I know how to game the system. Well, they ain't going to be gaming the system anymore in the Biden administration. They're going to start paying. And we're going to deliver tax relief for working families and middle class to help you buy your first home, pay for health care premiums or child care, or care for an aging loved one, or being able to pay off your student debt, for God's sake. Look, it's all about just where I come from. It's just about being fair. We're not asking anybody to do any more than anybody else. Just be fair, decent. Trump got a Supreme Court justice for overwhelming reason. By the way, never before has there ever been a hearing on a Supreme Court justice once an election began. That's never occurred. But he got his justice for one simple reason: to destroy the Affordable Care Act. He'd been trying since the day he got elected. And if they get their way, 100 million people will lose protection for pre-existing conditions, including 1.3 million Iowans will lose it. Complications of COVID-19 are going to become the next pre-existing condition, allowing insurers to jack up your premiums, delay your coverage. And a lot of young people don't realize this, but before Obamacare, insurance companies charged women more for the same health care they charged men because they could. That'll end. Donald Trump thinks health care is a privilege. I think it's a right. And if we all get out and vote. And by the way, they're going to court in 10 days. 10 days. As he said, to wipe it all out, end it, all of it. Well, I'll restore the Affordable Care Act and I'll strengthen and build on it so you can keep your private insurance if you like it, or choose a Medicare-like public option. We're going to increase subsidies for lower premiums, deductibles, out-of-pocket expenses, surprise billing. And as Teresa said, this time we are going to make sure Medicare can negotiate with the drug companies for prices, reducing them by 60%. I promise you we'll get that done. We're going to make sure we can keep protections for people with pre-existing conditions. Remember what he said when he was talked about the people who were dying and not dying? He said, quote, virtually, this is a quote from Trump, virtually nobody's dying except for people over 65 with heart conditions. Like they're disposable. What the hell's the matter with this guy? No, I'm not joking. Think about it. Think about it. And then when he was told for the first time that we're like we did today, 1,000 deaths a day, remember what his comment was? He said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because he is who he is. That's why it is what it is. These guys are something else, man. And meanwhile, the actuary at the Social Security Department says, if Donald Trump gets what he's saying, he said, you reelect me, I'm going to change Social Security. The actuary says, if the change occurs as he's promoting, it will bankrupt Social Security by 2023. Go home and tell your parents and grandparents that. That's a fact. Teresa said, I'll protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And let's not forget how Donald Trump, weak and chaotic China trade policy has cost farmers and manufacturing so badly. Agricultural exports to China during the Trump years have been 40% lower than during the Obama-Biden second term. On his watch, and this really bugs me, on this watch, ethanol margins have tanked and Iowa's manufacturing facilities are idle and even closing. He even says, I love this quote from him, he says, because of his bailouts, our farmers do better now than when they actually had a farm. I'm going to read that again. Our farmers actually doing better now than when they actually had a farm. Where's this guy from? Who does he think he is? Look, I'll do what he's been unable to do. I'll mobilize a true international effort to stop China's abuses so we can strengthen manufacturing and farming in Iowa and across the country. I'm going to hold China accountable, which he hasn't from the pandemic on. Folks, but there's nothing worse, in my view, than the way he has spoken about those who served in uniform. He called them losers and suckers. My son Bo, many of you knew, volunteered to serve a year in Iraq, gave up the Attorney General's job to do it, won the Bronze Star, the Conspicuous Service Medal, and other awards. He was neither a loser or a sucker. He was a patriot. And Teresa, so is your son Dane, who is in the Army. He's a patriot, like all of your sons, daughters, and all those of you who have served. It's no wonder that the 6 top generals in the President's administration left and said he does not deserve to be commander-in-chief. His own generals in his own administration. No president has ever had that happen. None. And that's why Special Forces Commander Stanley McChrystal, General, and the head of the Navy SEALs, Admiral Craven, along with 20 other 4-star generals, endorsed me, saying they'd be proud to have me as Commander-in-Chief. A sitting president. And that's why the Military Times quotes, more troops will vote for Biden and Trump. Folks, it's not about me, it's about him. That's why we have to support our military. You vote for me, you're voting for them. And while Donald Trump fails to condemn white supremacy, we can vote to deliver racial justice. A season of protest has broken out all across America. And by the way, legitimate protesting is not burning or looting. Violence can never be tolerated, and it won't. But those protests are cries for justice, for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Jacob Blake. They'll not soon be forgotten, not by me, not by us, or not by this country. Folks, we have to vote to meet the challenge of climate crisis as well. More frequent extreme weather. The West is on fire. We've lost more forests than the total space of Connecticut and Rhode Island combined in the West. The Midwest, I need not tell you, is flooding. You know here in Iowa, with the wrench code, catastrophic floods and droughts that lay waste to lives, livelihoods, and whole communities. And in the South and the East, hurricanes are more severe. Oceans are rising. My state's only 3 feet above sea level. People are already talking about the change we have to make. We don't have a lot of time. Donald Trump, when you say climate change, he thinks hoax. And that stable genius, as he calls himself, continues to say wind power causes cancer. It's the same guy who said, by the way, you think I'm making this up, when he was advised about the increasing hurricanes coming across the Atlantic because of the warm water, he said maybe we should drop a nuclear weapon on them. Holy mackerel. This also a guy you may recall, the stable genius, said the problem with the Revolutionary War was we didn't have enough airports. And he talks about mental acuity. Whoa. Folks, you look at climate warming, you look at it the way I do. Creates jobs, Iowa jobs, jobs across America. You understand that here in Iowa, you've already created thousands of good-paying jobs because of your dominant in wind energy. And it's expected that the number of wind jobs will double or triple by 2030 in Iowa. Notwithstanding that the stable genius says wind power causes cancer, wind power helps save the planet, generates millions of dollars in economic growth, and provides good prevailing wage jobs. Folks, combating climate change means saving the planet, protecting our health, and creating millions of good-paying jobs, union jobs in wind and solar and carbon capture. Iowa farmers will be the first in the world to be in a position where they reach net zero emissions because we're going to make sure there's a whole lot more land set aside and you get paid for it. Deep-rooted products, emissions, reward them. Folks, we can do this. There's nothing beyond our capacity. So honk if you want America to lead again. Honk if you want America to trust each other again. Honk if you want America to be united again. Folks, we cannot afford 4 more years of Donald Trump. In 2008 and 2012, you placed your trust in Barack Obama and me, and we worked for you, for the entire country. Well, I'll do it again in 2020. My campaign is a broad coalition, welcomes Democrats, Republicans, and independents. I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I will govern as an American president. I'll work as hard for those who don't support me as those who do. In my administration, there'll be no red states or blue states, just the United States of America. Folks, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. That's the job of a president. A duty to care for everyone, to heal. And you too have a sacred duty, a duty to vote. It matters. Iowa matters. So in these final days, stay empowered, stay united, stay optimistic. Make a plan to vote. Vote early. Vote on Election Day. Help get out the vote. Go to iwillvote.com/IA. Folks, this president has done everything to try to discourage us, to try to convince us that it doesn't matter. All about illegal voting, all the stuff he's putting up. But guess what? He will not be able to stop us at all. Despite Trump's efforts, a recent press article 2 days ago said, never before quote, in modern presidential politics, has a candidate been so reliant on wide-scale efforts to repress the vote as Trump, end of quote. We will not be silenced. 85 million people have already voted so far. We've had enough. Folks, look, I'll never forget, as a kid, the words of President Kennedy about going to the moon. He used the phrase, he said, we're doing it because, quote, we refuse to postpone. Well, I refuse to postpone the incredible opportunities available to the American people. There's nothing beyond our capacity. There is no limit to our future. The only thing that can't tear America, look, I'll talk about how we're in trouble. Well, nothing can tear America apart except America itself. And that's exactly what Donald Trump is doing from the beginning, trying to divide America, pitting Americans against one another based on race, gender, ethnicity, national origin. It's wrong. That's not who we are. Look, folks, everybody knows who Donald Trump is. We got to let them know who we are. We choose hope over fear. We choose unity over division, science over fiction. And yes, we choose truth over lies. So, folks, it's time for us to stand up, take back our democracy. We can do this. We're so much better than we've been. We can be who we are at our best. The United States of America. There is literally not a thing we've ever been unable to do. Nothing. The only country in the world that's ever come out of every crisis stronger than it went in is the United States of America. And with your help, I promise you, that's what we'll do again. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Got to make the world